Hi, welcome back. I was asked by a couple of people how I did a few of the black and whites that we installed in a house yesterday, so I thought I would share because they are very simple to do. As you can see, I'm using a very small canvas because I just want to be able to show you. All I'm going to use for this painting is some Flow acrylic paint by Artist Loft in black and in white, and I've just thinned them a little bit with some distilled water. So my husband made me this really cool box with the dowel in it. I love it because, as you can see, it gets a little messy when you're doing these, but I thought I would share anyhow. So bottom line, I've just put the acrylic Flow into a cup and I've added enough distilled water to get it to a melted ice cream consistency. I really liked that. Somebody described that to me and I thought that's perfect. It's just like melted ice cream. So you want it to flow off the stick back into itself without leaving a mound. And here's why this small canvas will work. I've mixed up quite a large cup of this, and all that's involved is pouring what we call a pillow onto the canvas. And I'm gonna warn you guys, I am a beginner and I'm just learning, and just thought I would share my journey because there's so many people who actually get a little freaked out to even start. And I was the same at first, but necessity breeds invention. So when things shut down over COVID, I couldn't get art for some of the vacant staging that we were planning to do when things opened up again. So I thought, well, I had bought a number of canvases and they'd been sitting in my garage for quite a while because I hadn't done any painting, and I thought, boy, I better get going with this and figure out what I'm gonna do. And I had things on hand, so I kind of started watching YouTube videos and educated myself. So I am by no means an expert, but just thought I would share. This might be of interest to other stagers because we are asked to do so many different styles of houses, and this just happens to be something I love to do while things are locked down as well. So I thought I would share. Anyway, I now have a pillow of paint on my canvas. It's not covering the edges all the way, but that's perfectly fine because we're going to do some other things to this. So I bought this little torch on Amazon. It's awesome for getting bubbles out of this paint. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. I've only been doing Flow painting for about a month now, I guess. And there's an artist in one of the Facebook groups that I joined that does fantastic black and whites. His are a million times better than what I'm able to do, but I'm hoping with some practice I'll get better at it. So now I have my pillow in place, and I think most of my bubbles are popped, which is a good thing. So all I'm gonna do is just pour a little bit of black onto this canvas. Now, for me, I love simple graphic art, and so I'm not gonna pour a ton on here. And I think the first couple that I did, that was a mistake I made, was to use too much of the black because you want the black to be very impactful. So now I've put on just 3 stripes. You can always add to this if you want to, but the key to this is to get the paint to interact with itself, and it will create some really cool things. So next step is all you do is tilt this canvas, and as you can see, the white paint is like a tsunami going over to the end of the canvas, and that's absolutely fine. I do want it to go off the edge just a bit because when I tilt it the other way, then the paint starts to stretch. It doesn't seem to really do that unless you get it off the corner of the canvas, at least for me. So I'm just going to do the same thing the other way, and there you go with that wave of paint going off the edge. And I don't want to get it off too far. I just want to get it so it kind of grabs and stretches as I tilt it the other way. Now you'll notice that around the side of the black where it's starting to mix with that white paint, I'm getting a gray outline, and I call it ghosting. I don't know what it's really called, but in my world it's ghosting. And as soon as it starts to do that, you know that the black and white paint are interacting with each other. The other thing I'm going to tell you about this kind of artwork is that the only paint I've had this work with the way I like it is the Artist Loft Flow paint. I did try a different brand, thinned with water, and it absolutely did not do what I needed it to do. As you can see, I've got a cat checking out what we're doing here too. My cats are not that well behaved. They do jump up on the counters when I'm doing this kind of work, but that one's Eric. I have brothers. They're both gray cats, and they're a lot of fun and great company for us. Now you can hear a meeting in the background, no doubt. His table manners are not the best. So I've got a little lump of paint in here, which I don't want to stay on the canvas, so I'm just gonna try and lift that out. Got it. And now I'm just gonna tilt that way. So this does take a bit of patience. And I think, as I said, I quite like it when it's just very simple. But I think in this case, the black, I didn't get quite enough on the canvas. And as I said, you can always add. So I'm just going to add a little bit here. And I'm going to tilt it until I get some interesting activity between the black and the white. I mentioned that I'm a home stager, and I do quite a few houses that are very modern new builds. And a lot of them are starting to put black finishes in, like black taps, black light fixtures, and most of them do have very, very light walls. And I find that this kind of art creates a nice flow. This one, of course, is very small, so I would never, you know, it's very doubtful that I would use it on its own in a house, because big art when you're staging is pretty important, I think. And just tilt it until you get something you like. I've got something that's reminding me very much of a dragon off the bottom of it now. And with the ghosting, that's kind of a cool thing. I showed you my little torch before, and I'm just gonna quickly wipe my hands, and I'm gonna torch again around the edges. And I don't know if you can see that because the camera is a fair bit above my canvas, but as you pop those little bubbles, you get what's the start of some lacing and some pearls in there. The fellow I follow on Facebook, his name is Dwight, and his pictures like this are amazing. They look like holes in the snow, and I've fallen in love with them. I certainly am not even going to pretend that I'm anywhere near as good as he is with this art. But I figure if I practice, I may get better at it. So this torch, you want to be careful. You don't want to cook the paint. But what I do want is to allow that interaction between the white paint and the black paint. these do change as they dry because of course the paint that you've kind of put off the edge starts to fall off the canvas, and that's absolutely fine. You'll see some really interesting things happen as these sort of cure and dry. I wish you could get them to dry like this because they're so glossy and just look so amazing. But how you end up getting that at the end of the day is by using resin on the top, and I have not ventured into that yet, but this is just a very simple graphic piece of art that I will use somewhere in a bathroom. Hope you liked it. Give it a try. The worst that can happen is that you scrape it off and start over. Where else do you get second chances like that in life? Have fun.